and welcome back to another OC lore. Today I will be reading about Daniel Nikia, aka Experiment 501. This is quite a long one I wrote. It has a lot of lore to it than the last one. Um, this one is called The Broken Man, and without further ado, let's get started. And yes, I know, it's not the morning. Daniel was an average man at the young age of 17. He lived a healthy and decent life at the warm home of his parents and his dog, Sally. During the past few months, Daniel would go to school, make friends, chat for a while, and have a ball. Life was pretty much plain and simple. Go to school, talk with friends, and come back home to play video games. Those were the words that played in his head any time another day starts. During the weekends, he would usually head out for a walk with his dog or ride on his skateboard for the hell of it. But on one fortunate morning, he got a call from one of his friends on the telephone. Unfortunately, they had to move, so they might be separated. And at the time, Daniel never really had a phone, probably because he never really used one responsibly. But that's a story for another day. Daniel was upset, of course, but reluctantly said goodbye to him one last time, and even wished him the best of luck, closing the call and sighing in disappointment. Next week, Daniel woke up in the middle of the night on a Saturday after hearing the news on the TV. Dad must have forgotten to shut the TV off, he thought, until something caught his ears. This night, many mysterious white vans had been pulling up to neighborhoods, these being Billerica, Wilshire Park, and Malvern Hills. If any of you are near these locations, either pack your bags or lock up your house. Stay safe and border up. This is Clyde from New York Times, signing off. Daniel was frightened and even woke up his parents to tell them the news, but they just didn't believe them. Because how often do you hear about a bunch of strange white vans? His parents scold him, treating him like a child until he leaves the room. Daniel gets pissed off and scurries into his bedroom, scared of his mind and worried for tomorrow. After a long night, it was finally time to get up. Daniel's alarm goes off and he shudders, throwing the clock at the wall from fear and anxiety from the news. He goes to school, worrying about the events he thinks are about to come. And it turns out Daniel was right. As soon as he came back from school, there was white vans, just like the news said. He sneaked hurriedly inside his house, only to later notice his parents were both dead on the couch, with a bullet in both their skulls. Shocked and paralyzed with fear, he has no time to react. The men in white coats and an anonymous mask heard his whereabouts for some reason. It kicks down his front door. He tries running away, but he is immediately tased and cuffed, and then thrown into one of the white vans, among other people as well, a man named Akhal, who would soon be an important key to Daniel's great escape. Months go by, and Daniel has already been suffering enough as it is. Soon, he's called over for experiments such as needles, drugs, or whatever fits their needs. This caused some major malfunctions with Daniel's body, which made his eyes bloodshot for a while, and he needed lots of rest. This would also later give him PTSD of needles. After the experiment was over, Daniel was forced into a cell, crying, begging, pleading to be set free, but the guards didn't listen. Instead, they shrugged him off, leaving him in there with just his thoughts alone. Months feel like years as it goes by. Daniel is on the verge of killing himself, until a sudden miracle happens. The man he saw moved into the van with them earlier. Akhal was his cell, alarms going off in the background, and yelling from afar. Akhal opened his cell, including everyone else's, with the press of the cheap switch that he stole from their pocket, letting everyone scurry off and fight for their freedom, meanwhile bringing Daniel with him to safety. Come on, Daniel, you haven't won the game of life yet, nor have I, so get your ass moving, now. He shouted with pride, helping Daniel get a move on as they made their way through the chaotic crowd and bypassing the guards. It was a tough fight. Some died, some were left with scars, and some were just bruised. As Daniel and Akhal made it out the doors and into the wilderness where the laboratory is set, everyone else gathers up as well, saluting Akhal for his bravery and assistance. With a thousand dead guards, some left to die, and a few retreated. Akhal pulled out a Molotov he created using a bottle from the cafeteria, cloth, and some flammable oil, as well as a lighter he secretly snuck into the laboratory. He took a second glance before lighting the Molotov and throwing it at the building, as well as his lighter. Lighting the building slowly burned to pieces. "We should get out of here before the whole forest burns," Akal exclaimed before gesturing to follow, leading the way back into the torn-out town everyone used to live in. Several police vehicles were trying to search for the missing people. Luckily, they had all met up with each other, but unfortunately, due to recent events, Daniel had no home to go to since his parents were dead. Alcohol later offered him into an orphanage center, a good one. Alcohol says he used to live there until he was adopted by the Fernwood family. Alcohol gave Daniel a bleeding goodbye before heading off to start his game of life. Later on, after a month or two, maybe more, Daniel was given outdoor permissions, and he now spends his time exploring the new town he was resigned to buy in a valley, far from the money in his small bank. Daniel doesn't mind the lives he's in. Daniel doesn't mind the life he's in. Fortunately, he may haven't won the game of life, but he certainly won his own. So a couple of that is cut off because I'm out of breath and I've been starting a lot. So that concludes that OC lore. So bye bye.